Right, welcome back to the channel. Right, so we're going to continue on and move on from where we were in the previous episode of doing the Z. I've got the base head gasket to fit, but I've got to clean the surface first. As we've done, the cam chain's already in. I now have all the parts on the bench, all the rollers, they all need to be cleaned. I'll show you what I've got. So that's the diagram from my trusty book. Obviously this does cover the two different types of tensioners. My one is that one. And obviously I think that's just the breakdown of this wheel. But it does show everything where it sits. So in the bottom here, in this gully, which will be this one, which will then refer to this one. So that's the wheel and the pin. I do have new blocks. I've also referred back to the manual. That's the item there. It does say I need to bond these to the surface with like a Loctite or a permabond, get the words out, sorry, a permabond or equivalent. So I'll just be using a super glue to actually attach these blocks into that area there, but I need to clean off any residue. I need to clean this wheel up. Again, the same with the next two wheels up, which sit in the actual barrel head here and here. Exactly the same. These need to be cleaned, as do the rollers, and they're my blocks again, which have to be glued. And then moving up to the top part, which is this roller with these blocks, again all this needs to be cleaned. Clean off this surface. There's O-rings that go here and here, so I need to fit that roller, the O-rings, obviously clean the surface first, fit that roller, then the O-rings, then the gasket can go on. Also I need to replace these two studs. I do have new ones, so again they need to be put in, Loctited in, not Loctite, sorry, not Loctite, thread lock these, but I need to clean out the actual threads. Barrels, I need the rubber O-rings. Which, if you remember, they were what came out. They're hard, brittle, as you see, it's just snapped. I've got replacements. So as soon as that area is done, we can then get the barrels back on, and then I can start moving up through the engine. So that's the job for today. See how far I can get. If I can get all that cleaned up, get this one in place, gasket cleaned, new gasket, studs, two oil seals or two rubber seals that just fit here, and the barrels back on, I'll be really happy. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is, let's move these over so everybody can see, is clean up all these parts. So again, you can see the state of them, just want to give them a clean up. The actual tension unit I'm going to leave to one side, so I won't actually be needing that as yet. So there's all my main components, looking a lot better. So the first part we're going to need is this one. Right, they're the blocks for that one, or for them two I should say. These are the blocks for this one, so I just need to put them in place and actually Loctite them and glue them. I thought I'd clean the actual gasket surface. The other job I had to do was, if you remember, there were two studs. Well, these two, where the nuts had just rusted solid to the top, so I got two new studs, just put them in. I was using a nut on top. I kind of laugh at it now, but I was nearly crying at the time. The nut span off the top and went straight down in the crank. Luckily I was able to turn the engine over and just shake, and it had just lodged itself down, so that came out. But again, I should have put a cloth round the actual piston, the hole, but these studs are now in place. So the next bit is obviously this part and this wheel fit in there. So we'll get the gasket out, get these seals out and get that in. Alright, so I've got my two small seals, one here, one here. Base gasket, I've double checked, it is that way round, not that way round, just to double check on that. So I need this part, and then that will fit in so I'm going to put a small, well, a light smear of gasket sealant round and get everything in place. So yeah, when you're going to do this, obviously don't glue both of them down. You can put one on, slide it through and then glue the other one in place. The other two are drying. So let's get this in place. Alright, so that fits nicely inside. With the cam chain either side. So we've got the small seal this side. And the same there. So it just slides over the top. So I'm just going to put a thin smear of gasket sealant around, and then I can get the base gasket in place. Right, just got a couple of bits to do. The first thing I want to do is suspend the cam chain for a minute. Right, so that's got gasket sealant all the way around. So I'll pop that over loose. Right, so that's the gasket in place. Right, so the gasket's on. Still got the cam chain suspended. That's just suspended at the moment from a hook, so I don't drop it or lose it. I don't want anything else going inside the engine. Here's, you remember I said to you earlier there's actual O-rings that go inside. But that's all it is. So on with the second one. Push down. Third one, and just this one to go. You can see them in there. So next job will be get the barrels on over the pistons. Right, as you join me now, as you can see the barrels are almost on. Sometimes you get these videos where things just go wrong constantly, you make mistakes. As I say, I've dropped a bolt or a nut in the crank, managed to get that out. I actually glued the dampers onto these shafts, then realised I couldn't get the shaft actually through because the dampers were in the way, and then realised that that one actually fits through, so the shaft actually goes through there, so I had to take everything apart, set the camera up, started filming, getting the barrels on. Probably 20 odd minutes in, struggling trying to get it working. Something made me just think, I'll check the camera, and the camera died. So after probably about 5-10 minutes of swearing constantly and standing outside having a cigarette, I've had to resurrect another camera. I don't know what's gone on with my normal camera. So the aim now is just to finish off this bit and then call this video a wrap and just end it for today. Sometimes this happens, it's all part of obviously my learning experience, but normally if a battery is going to go on my camera, it will beep, so I know that it's getting flat. This just cut out completely, so I've lost a fair amount of footage, which all I can do is apologise for. Let's say, so the barrels are nearly on. The last bit to do, just run a bit of gasket sealant just round with my finger and then slide the barrels on. So apologies for obviously the errors and mistakes and problems that have happened in this video. It does happen. It's all part of learning. The camera was out of my control. So I'm going to obviously try and get the camera sorted for the next episode. But let's just get this finished. I'm a bit gutted because obviously I wanted documentation of everything I've done. I've now just lost that particular section, but it has kind of been almost like a comedy of errors. So let's get this finished. Alright, so I've just put a thin, very light coat smear around the gasket, a gasket sealant. So everything's turning as it should, which is one result, I suppose. But no, deeply gutting that didn't film it. But finally, after most of the day trying to get this sorted, it's finally on. So hopefully in the next episode have a look at these timing wheels, or the cam wheels, get them all in position, and then start having a look at the head. Alright, so thanks for joining me on that one. Sorry the issues, the problems, the mistakes I made. I suppose these things happen. It's one of those things. It's deeply annoying when obviously cameras shut off, not paying attention properly. You know, maybe I haven't read the manual properly on some things I should have looked into. Obviously these rubber mounts a bit further before actually gluing them in place, but any comments in the comments box below, I appreciate all your feedback. You know, it means a lot to me. I've had so much feedback over the last sort of couple of weeks. It's been really, really good. Some people have come up with ideas that are watching older videos, and it is some of the ideas. It's stuff that obviously I didn't think of at the time, but it's things I can use going forward. Had some good comments from a gentleman called Ron, so thanks Ron. I know you're fairly new to the channel and you're flying through the videos, which is much appreciated, and I hope you enjoy what you're seeing. Like I hope everybody enjoys the content they're seeing. You know, if there's something you don't like, then let me know in the comments box below. I'll try and make it better or learn from the mistakes I've made. But as I've said many times, these videos are a documentation of my journey through the Busa, through. The Z650 is a massive learning curve. There's so much to take in. It's been fun, educational, stressful at times, as anybody who's done this would know. Obviously I rely on your feedback. I'm learning on the ST still. That's a new entity to me. There's been a lot wrong with that bike, but it is moving forward, and I appreciate all the comments I've had. There will be another video coming up on that shortly. I do need to go back in. It looks as though obviously the reg rec has fried and boiled the battery. Loads of great comments on that, so that will be a separate video. I'll go back in and that. I'll go through all your comments. But as I say, glad I've got to this stage, just gutting that I'd lost footage. But hopefully next episode, move forward, I'll move the engine out of the way, get the cylinder head on the bench, and then start rebuilding the cylinder head. As regards the rocker cover, obviously I put the question out not long ago, all polished, painted, polished. Most people have come back and go, just polish the ends and paint the rest, so I'll clean this up and get the ends polished and paint everything else, but give it a good clean up first. So thanks for everybody that commented on that. It is helpful. I do listen. So similar with the sump, that was paint or polish. Everybody said paint. Yes, it looks much better paint. You can't really see it, it's underneath. So, but no, pleased how things are coming slowly. I expect mistakes. I need to learn from these. I need to pay more attention, obviously, with the manuals. Sometimes it is difficult because obviously I'm using bits of a service manual, I'm using the Haynes manual, and I'm using a climber manual, and sometimes they say slightly different things. Or with the classic one is they show you how to take it apart, and then they just say put back together in the reverse of what you took it apart. Sometimes it would be nice if they actually did a disassembly and then a reassembly section. So, but I don't know, but I learn from it, I move on. As I say, I need to get this engine done. It would be so nice to get it back in the bike and then progress forward. And then pray to God at the end of it, it fires up. That will be a massive achievement if everything works, but excuse me. That's why I'm checking everything as I go to make sure that things are still turning, nothing's seized, everything's moving. And so far, touch wood, everything seems to be working great. So as I say, next episode we'll crack on with the cylinder head. And join me again next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.